Walls. On March 29th, 1969, my mom was born. She was like any other child, playful, happy, and curious. She grew up in a fairly affluent house, with 2 parents and 2 siblings. From the outside, her life seemed very typical. 2 loving parents, close siblings, food on the table, and eggs and toast in the morning. Her life appeared to be extremely normal, but if someone had taken a deeper look, they would have seen the verbal and physical abuse that took place in her home. She would sit and listen to her parents hit and scream at each other for hours. Her mother, the woman whose love and support a child depends on, manipulated her and emotionally, physically, and verbally abused her. She built up walls around herself to keep herself safe. In her words, "In order to escape the abuse in my family, I came up with coping mechanisms, some of which were to detach or disassociate myself from the situation, to take me away from the screaming and punishment." She learned that the only way to survive was to shut it out and try to be perfect. She grew up and did ordinary things, went to school, made friends, and eventually she got married. But still, her walls stayed up. The walls were worn thin, with a few holes here and there, but they were intact and refused to fall. They were her protection. How could she let go of something that had protected her for so long? How could she be vulnerable? On September 25th, 1994, her world changed. She found out she was going to be a parent. She was elated, having always wanted to be a mother, but she was also frightened. Would she be able to reach her baby through her walls? Her walls were worn thin, but they had a strong foundation, and she feared they would affect her parenting. What she did not expect is that her children would break down her walls. She had her first son, and a few lengthy cracks appeared. With a child, she was unable to work at maintaining them. When a piece crumbled, she could no longer rush to patch it up. She was too busy being a mother. She said, "I loved being a mother, and I took to it very well, but I struggled with my own imperfections and not being able to control my world." She had always had a layer between her and the rest of the world, to keep her guarded, to keep her safe. But as she had her 2 last kids and experienced motherhood, it was becoming harder to keep them intact. She sat in her fortress and watched as her barrier crumbled away. She stood and looked out, and for the first time, the sun shone into what remained of her safe haven. To this day, the foundation and rubble still lay there at her feet, but she is no longer blocked off. She is free.